Hello and welcome to Tech Circle, and you are listening to a fresh episode of Tech This Week with me, Payal Ganguly, where we bring you a weekly roundup of all the major developments in the space of tech startups, enterprise technology, and policy. Today I have with me my colleagues Anand Janardhan and Supriya Roy. The big stories this week have been mostly around the cost cutting measures, including layoffs across startups and IT companies. Ride-hailing company Uber disclosed that of the 6,700 job cuts across its global operations, 600 will impact driver and rider support functions, which are mostly operated out of India. Used car marketplace Car which is backed by Ganassoft, also laid off 200 people out of its 5,000 odd employees. These companies have seen a dip in revenue due to the COVID-19 related national lockdown, and the businesses have taken a strong hit. Another addition to this list is BookMyShow, which laid off as well as furloughed part of their staff, which makes up around 18% of its total employee strength. I think BookMyShow did its best to cut employee costs. Also, Lending Card seems to have announced laying off 200 employees within a week of raising around 300 crore in its Series D round.
Grim news all over. I'd like to open up this question up to Anand as well. How will this translate to the India job market? Are we expecting large scale layoffs? Were there any layoffs at the large global IT firms as well?
Yes, this week we heard news about IBM, Cognizant, and HP laying off people. So at IBM, it's said to be thousands in the US, while obviously there will be some Indian employees too who are going to be affected. HP has announced cost cutting measures up to $1 billion. So that's partly salary and partly job cuts. So all these IT firms, whether it's IBM, HP, Cognizant, they all have a large proportion of employees based in India. So I mean, it's no way that the Indian employees are going to be spared anytime. We will see that all these companies have promised to honor all the offer letters, thousands of offer letters that they give out in campuses for freshers every year. So now they will obviously they will try to honor those offer letters, but tactically what they can probably do is postpone the joining dates indefinitely. During the March quarter results announcement, all these companies sounded very confident about cloud migration accelerating or digitalization happening at a faster pace. But uh, this clearly shows that the confidence was misplaced. You have to remember that these all these firms have attrition rates north of 15%, and to see that they are still, they need to let go employees uh, is an indication that how bad the situation is.
Anand, how does it look for the Indian IT companies? What would be the direct impact? Also, are they likely to follow suit?
Yeah, I mean, most likely yes. We don't know when. They all have huge cash balances running up to $4 billion or something. But obviously, shareholder interest and executive salary depend a lot more on profits and revenue growth. So one way to achieve growth or reduce losses is to let go employees. I mean, we will see some very bad news in India as well. IT industry lobby, NASSCOM, has actually written to several state governments asking them to relax the terms of laying off employees. So once these regulations are relaxed, I mean, for instance, right now you need to give a 21 days notice to the governments before laying off staff. So we will clearly see that these are all indications that we will see many more such bad news in the coming months.
So it's not just the employee churn. This week, we also saw Wipro announcing the appointment of Thierry Delaporte as its new CEO. So he was formerly the chief operating officer at Capgemini, and he will be taking over from Abid Ali Nimachwala on 1st of June. According to media reports, Nimachwala has cited family commitments as a reason for his departure. Anand, how has Nimachwala's tenure been at Wipro over the last 4 years? Also, what is the new CEO expected to address initially as his priority in the company?
See, when compared to its peers, Wipro always had been a laggard over the past, you can say, almost a decade. Whether it's TCS or Infosys or HCL, their growth rates or profit margins have been much lower than these three top companies. Now, what's more significant is a theory is going to be the first foreign origin CEO of a large Indian IT services company. Actually, Infosys had a foreign executive, Vishal Sikka, though he was of Indian origin. That did not go well for Infi. So now we'll have to see, how theory is going to manage those cultural challenges, especially since that the company has said that he is going to be based out of Paris. Even more important is theory has never worked for any other company other than Capgemini. He was with the company for 25 years. Even though origins aside, he has worked with Indian Capgemini's Indian office in the past, so he knows what to expect. How to work with Indian employees and all that. But the biggest challenge right now is he couldn't have chosen a worse time to start in a company. Given that IT companies are bracing for the first ever revenue decline this year.
Talking about the top tech churn at IT majors, Cognizant saw the departure of its chief operating officer, Srinivasan Veeraraghavachari, who will be leaving the company in August. He marks a slew of departures from the company since Brian Humphries took over as CEO on 1st of April last year, that is 2019. Anand, could you tell us who are the others who've left the company, or what does the top leadership look like at the company right now?
There were several exits at Cognizant. Some were voluntary, some were actually asked to leave. The company, hasn't been performing. If you look at the last 12 quarters or so, the company's performance is getting worse. So, like one of the senior executives is now the CEO of Mindtree. So, the churn has been going on at the companies ever since, brand took over. The company has been cutting costs. This week again, they had asked some 400 senior level executives to leave the company. So, with COVID-19 putting all these restructuring to at a much faster pace than probably anybody would have anticipated, we'll have to see how this turns out for Cognizant.
Since we're on the topic of restructuring roles at companies, in the startup world too, we saw something happening at Zomato. So the food delivery platform elevated its CEO Mohit Gupta to the position of a co-founder at the company. The company the company has four active co-founders: Deepinder Goyal, Gunjan Patidar, Gaurav Gupta, and Mohit Gupta. Now, Pankaj Chadha, who had set up Zomato back with them back in 2008, moved on from the company in 2019 when he set up this health tech platform called Mindhouse.
Well, that's one way to retain top leadership, I believe.
Actually, in a surprising news, we had a SaaS startup, Plumio, establishing an R&D center in India. It had already hired 35 people and is now looking to double its headcount.
Moving on, in a major move by the government to bring transparency in the functioning of India's COVID-19 contact tracing app, Arogya Setu, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology released the source code for the Android version of the app. Additionally, policy think tank Niti Aayog also announced a bug bounty program for the developers to find and solve security issues in the application.
Well, Supriya, these moves by the government are all following the flags on privacy issues which were pointed out by users as well as developers. Earlier this month, we saw that the National Informatics Commission had revised the terms and policy of the app, saying that all the data obtained would be deleted after 180 days. But on the other hand, we also saw that the app was downrated by MIT.
Since its launch in 41 days ago, the app has had over 11.4 crore downloads. Two-thirds of the users, the government said, have taken self-assessments to evaluate their risk of exposure to COVID-19, which had to be the primary purpose of the app.
Supriya, do you think that the adoption also has to do with the mandatory use of the app by most of the government as well as private sector employees? I think those taking flights were also asked to download the app for the safe passage. So that could have also
Sure.
contributed to an increase in the number.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a direct link out there. Shifting gears to the deals coverage this past week at Tech Circle, figures were a total damper in the sense that we reported only about 12 deals, of which 7 had disclosed investments, and these fundings totaled to a little over $50 million.
Over the past few weeks, we had seen a lot of bridge rounds and internal investments from existing investors. I mean, what were the nature of investments this week?
On a sectoral analysis, the spread was diverse, Anand. There were 2 companies in the fintech space, one each in sectors of edtech, agri-tech, food tech, real estate, media tech, consumer electronics, logistics tech, health tech, and also an electronic vehicle maker. So very diverse spread. And deal size wise, the companies that stood out in my view was IFSC's $10 million infusion into OnSite Go, which is the consumer electronics maker, a Series A funding of $27 million in Ola's financial services company, and also the deal at co-working space Office with its raise of $5.3 million Series B fundraise. So like you said, investments at large, even this particular week, were mostly bridge round investments, to no surprise with prevalent trends.
Hopefully, things will improve in the coming weeks. And on that note, we wrap up this segment of Tech This Week. Keep listening to us and catch in-depth analysis and stories on techcircle.in. Also, do watch Nilesh Parmar of Edelweiss Tokyo Life Insurance talk about the company's digital first push, as well as Big Basket's co-founder Hari Menon talk about the company's turnaround during the COVID-19 crisis. Thank you for listening.